Welcome. Let yourself settle in. Take a slow breath and prepare to drift through time back to the ancient world, where mysteries still whisper to us across thousands of years. Tonight, we'll explore 10 fascinating enigmas from our past, each one a question mark carved into history itself. So relax, close your eyes if you'd like, and let these stories carry you gently toward sleep. We begin our journey in the desert sands of Egypt, standing before one of the most recognizable monuments humanity has ever created. The Great Sphinx of Giza rises from the plateau, its lion body stretched across the sand, its human face gazing eternally toward the rising sun. For centuries, we believe we understood when this monument was built. The conventional timeline places it around 2500 BC, during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre. And yet, there are details that don't quite align with this tidy narrative. The weathering patterns on the Sphinx's body tell a curious story. Some geologists have observed erosion that appears consistent with water, not wind and sand. This suggests the Sphinx may have endured periods of heavy rainfall, something that hasn't occurred in Egypt for many thousands of years, long before the pharaohs we know of came to power. If this is true, the Sphinx could be far, far older than we've imagined. Perhaps it was built by a civilization we haven't yet discovered, one that thrived when the Sahara was green and rivers flowed freely. The Sphinx sits there still, silent and patient, holding its secrets beneath layers of limestone, waiting for us to ask the right questions. What did its builders know? What were they trying to tell the future? We may never know for certain. But the mystery itself is beautiful, isn't it? A reminder that history is not as settled as we sometimes believe. Beneath that same Egyptian plateau, there may be something even more extraordinary waiting in the darkness. Ancient historians, including the Greek writer Herodotus, wrote about a massive labyrinth near the pyramid complex at Giza. He described it as a wonder greater than the pyramids themselves, a vast underground structure with thousands of rooms, filled with hieroglyphs and secrets. According to these ancient accounts, the labyrinth contained the tombs of kings and sacred crocodiles, and its corridors twisted and turned in ways designed to confuse anyone who dared enter uninvited. For a long time, modern scholars dismissed these stories as myth or exaggeration. But in recent years, ground-penetrating radar and other technologies have revealed anomalies beneath the sand, geometric patterns that suggest large, man-made structures hidden below the surface. Could Herodotus have been telling the truth? Could there truly be a lost labyrinth of Giza, still sealed beneath the desert, waiting to be discovered? Imagine walking those corridors, your footsteps echoing in chambers that haven't seen light in millennia, surrounded by knowledge that was deliberately hidden away. What might we find there? Perhaps answers to questions about the Old Kingdom. Perhaps something stranger still. For now, it remains buried, another layer of mystery beneath the sands, whispering possibilities into the archaeological record. Let's travel forward in time now, from ancient Egypt to the Aegean Sea, to the year 1901. When a group of sponge divers discovered something impossible off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera. Among the amphorae and marble statues in an ancient shipwreck, they found a corroded lump of bronze and wood, something that didn't look like much at first glance. But when researchers began to carefully examine this artifact, they realized they were holding something that shouldn't exist. The Antikythera mechanism, as it came to be known, is an ancient analog computer, a device of bronze gears and inscriptions that could predict astronomical positions and eclipses decades in advance. It could track the cycles of the moon, the movements of the planets, even the timing of the Olympic Games. The precision of its engineering is extraordinary. The gear work is so sophisticated that nothing comparable appears in the historical record for another 1,000 years. Think about that for a moment. Someone in ancient Greece, around 100 BCE, possessed the knowledge and skill to create a mechanical computer. Who built it? Was it a single genius, or was this technology more widespread than we realize? And if they could build this, What else were they capable of? The mechanism raises profound questions about the capabilities of ancient minds, suggesting that technological sophistication isn't a straight line of progress, but something that rises and falls with civilizations. Perhaps we've underestimated our ancestors, assumed ourselves to be the pinnacle, when really we're just one point on a much longer, more complex timeline. Speaking of lost technologies, let's consider one of the most devastating weapons of the ancient world, a secret so closely guarded that it was eventually lost entirely. Greek fire was the superweapon of the Byzantine Empire, a liquid incendiary that could burn on water, making it the perfect naval weapon. Imagine enemy ships approaching Constantinople, confident in their numbers, only to see streams of flame pouring from Byzantine vessels. Fire that couldn't be extinguished by the sea itself. Panic would spread faster than the flames. Ships would scatter, burning as they fled. The Byzantines used Greek fire to defend their capital for centuries, and they kept the formula absolutely secret. Only a few individuals knew how to manufacture it, and that knowledge was passed down through closely guarded channels. But empires fall, and when Constantinople finally fell in 1453, the secret of Greek fire died with it. We still don't know exactly what it was made of. Historians have theories, of course. Petroleum, quicklime, sulfur, naphtha. Various combinations have been proposed. Some have tried to recreate it with limited success. But the true formula, the exact process, is gone. It's a reminder that knowledge is fragile, that even the most powerful technologies can vanish if they're not written down, shared widely, preserved carefully. What other secrets did ancient civilizations take with them into the dark? How much have we lost and don't even know to miss? From lost technologies, we turn to lost languages, and perhaps the most tantalizing mystery of all in this category. The Voynich manuscript sits in Yale University's Beinecke Rare Book Library, a small book of about 240 pages, filled cover to cover with text in an unknown script, accompanied by bizarre illustrations. There are plants that don't match any known species. There are astronomical diagrams. There are drawings of naked women bathing in green liquid, connected by tubes and strange organic machinery. The text flows naturally, with patterns that suggest it's genuine language, not random gibberish. Statistical analysis shows structures consistent with real linguistic systems. And yet, despite the efforts of professional cryptographers, linguists, and countless amateur enthusiasts, no one has been able to read it. The manuscript has been carbon dated to the early 15th century, but the script resembles nothing from that period or any other. Some believe it's an elaborate hoax, a meaningless document created to fool collectors. Others think it might be encrypted knowledge, perhaps alchemical or medical text that someone wanted concealed. Still others wonder if it might be written in a constructed language, something invented by one person or a small group. The Voynich manuscript challenges us. It sits there, seemingly full of information, and we can't access it. In an age where we can crack codes and translate ancient languages, this little book remains opaque, refusing to yield its secrets. Perhaps that's fitting. Perhaps some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved, reminders that we don't know everything, that wonder still exists in the world. Across the ocean in Scotland, there's another undeciphered mystery carved into stone. The Newton Stone, found in Aberdeenshire, bears two inscriptions. One side contains a 6-line text in a script that resembles Ogham, an ancient Celtic writing system. But the specific symbols don't match standard Ogham, and attempts to read it as such have produced nonsense. The other side features a single line in what might be Latin or something pretending to be Latin, but again, it doesn't quite make sense. The stone has been dated to somewhere between the 5th and 9th century CE, a time of tremendous change in Scotland, when Pictish kingdoms were giving way to Gaelic influence, when Christianity was spreading through the Highlands. What was this stone meant to say? Was it a boundary marker? A memorial? A warning? Some have suggested it might be connected to the Picts, That mysterious people who left us only fragments, standing stones and symbol stones scattered across Scotland, their language and culture largely lost to time. Others wonder if it could be evidence of even earlier writing traditions in Britain, systems that existed before Latin arrived with the Romans. The Newton stone stands as a challenge and an invitation. It seems like it should be readable. The symbols are clear, carefully carved, and yet we can't understand them. It's humbling, really, to stand before human communication and find ourselves locked out, unable to hear what our ancestors were trying to say. What messages are carved into stones around the world, waiting for us to finally understand. Now let's travel to the waters off the coast of Japan, to the island of Yonaguni, where divers in 1987 discovered something beneath the waves that sparked immediate controversy. The Yonaguni Monument, as it's called, is a massive underwater rock formation featuring what appear to be terraces, steps, pillars, and geometric shapes. It looks, to many observers, like the ruins of an ancient city or temple complex. The structures are enormous, with some features rising nearly 90 feet from the seafloor. The angles are sharp, the surface is flat, the arrangement seemingly purposeful. The question that has divided researchers is simple but profound. Is this natural or man-made? Geologists who favor a natural explanation point out that the rock in this area, sandstone and mudstone, can fracture along clean lines, creating step-like formations through purely geological processes. But others argue that some features, particularly what looks like a carved face and specific right-angle corners, suggest human modification. If it is man-made, it would have to be extremely old, because sea levels have been at their current height for only about 10,000 years. Before that, this area would have been above water. Could there have been a civilization here, in the last ice age, when the world's coasts looked completely different? The Yonaguni Monument raises the unsettling possibility that entire human societies existed in places we can never excavate, because they're now hundreds of feet underwater. How much of our deep history has been swallowed by rising seas? What cities and temples and works of art are resting on the ocean floor, slowly dissolving into sediment, their stories untold? Fortunately, not all sunken cities remain hypothetical. Off the coast of Egypt, in the Mediterranean near Alexandria, archaeologists have discovered and explored the ancient city of Thonis Heraclean, a port city that was one of the most important trading hubs of the ancient world before it slipped beneath the waves around the 8th century CE. For centuries, Thonis Heraclean was known only from ancient texts. Greek historians mentioned it. Egyptian inscriptions referred to it, but no one knew where it was, or the accounts were even accurate. Then in 2000, underwater archaeologist Frank Gaudio and his team located it, finding temples, statues, ships, jewelry, and countless artifacts resting on the seafloor. Walking through these ruins, virtually preserved by the sea, is like stepping into a time capsule. Massive statues of pharaohs and gods still stand, now home to fish and coral. The foundations of the great temple of Ammonius remain visible. Ships that sank in the harbor over 2,000 years ago rest in the silt, their cargoes still intact. The city tells a story of prosperity and trade, of cultural exchange between Egypt and Greece, and then of sudden catastrophe. Earthquakes and rising waters eventually doomed Thonis Heraclean, and the Mediterranean claimed it slowly but completely. The discovery proves that ancient accounts of lost cities aren't always exaggeration or myth. Sometimes they're literally true, and the cities are waiting beneath the water, ready to share their stories with anyone patient and skilled enough to find them. From grand civilizations, let's turn to something more intimate, a single object that bridges legend and reality. In Italy, in the ruins of the Montecipi Chapel, there's a sword embedded in stone. Not a copy, not a replica created for tourists, an actual medieval sword. Its blade driven into solid rock, enclosed in a chapel built specifically around it in the 12th century. According to legend, this sword belonged to Saint Galgano Guidati, a knight who renounced violence and warfare to become a hermit. To symbolize his transformation, he drove his sword into stone, turning it into a cross, a weapon transformed into an instrument of faith. The sword has been dated to the 12th century, consistent with Galgano's lifetime. It's real, it's there, and while the legend surrounding it is likely embellished, the core fact remains. Someone really did drive a sword into stone almost 1,000 years ago, and it remains there still. It's a small mystery compared to lost cities and ancient computers, but perhaps that's what makes it so compelling. Its human scale, a single moment of decision frozen in stone and steel. We can imagine Galgano, weary of bloodshed, raising his sword one final time and bringing it down, not against an enemy, but against the earth itself. What must that moment have felt like? What conviction must it take to literally unmake yourself as a warrior? The sword in the stone reminds us that sometimes the most powerful mysteries aren't about lost civilizations or advanced technologies. Sometimes they're about individual human choice, about the moments when people decide to change, and somehow, miraculously, those moments are preserved for us to wonder at centuries later. Finally, we end our journey where so many ancient mysteries reside, back in Egypt, in the Valley of the Kings, in a tomb discovered in 1922 that captivated the world. King Tutankhamun was a minor pharaoh, a boy king who ruled for only about 9 years before dying at approximately 18 years old. His tomb was relatively modest compared to those of more powerful pharaohs, and yet it's the most famous Egyptian burial ever found, largely because it was discovered almost intact, filled with treasures and artifacts that give us an unparalleled glimpse into royal life and death in ancient Egypt. But behind the golden mask and the beautiful objects, there's a mystery that has never been fully resolved. How did King Tut die? His mummy shows evidence of multiple injuries and health problems. There's a fracture in his skull, though that may have occurred after death. His leg was broken shortly before he died. CT scans reveal that he had malaria and a bone disorder. Some historians have suggested murder, perhaps a blow to the head, though this seems less likely given the other evidence. Others point to the leg fracture, suggesting he died from an infection after an injury. Still others wonder if he might have died in a chariot accident, combining the leg injury with other trauma. The truth is, we may never know for certain. King Tut has been examined more thoroughly than almost any other ancient person, and yet the question of his death remains open, a 3,000-year-old mystery that resists our best technology and analysis. There's something profound in that uncertainty. Despite all our advances, despite all our tools and techniques, the past keeps some secrets. A young king died in ancient Egypt, and we can catalog his possessions, reconstruct his face, analyze his bones, but we cannot say with certainty what his last days were like or what finally claimed his life. Perhaps that's as it should be. Perhaps mystery is part of what makes history meaningful. The reminder that these were real people whose full stories we can never completely know, no matter how hard we try. And so we've journeyed together through 10 mysteries tonight, from a sphinx gazing across the desert, to labyrinths hidden beneath the sand, from impossible ancient technology to weapons and knowledge lost to time, from manuscripts that cannot be read to monuments beneath the sea, from legendary swords made real to the quiet mystery of a young king's death. Each of these mysteries invites us to wonder, to question what we think we know, and to remain humble before the vast sweep of human history. Let these stories drift through your mind now as you settle deeper into rest. Imagine the Sphinx in moonlight, a magi